Joining us now is Punchbowl News co-founder and MSNBC political analyst Jake Sherman, former Obama 2012 campaign manager Jim Messina, and former Republican Congressman, MSNBC political analyst Carlos Curbelo. Christine Romans also with us. So, Jake, we just got this new nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office report talking about the economic impact of this mega bill. What are the top takeaways?
Not good for House Republicans. Let's start with that, Anna. It's a $2.4 trillion. It's not a great number for them. Republicans, and in this closed meeting just a couple minutes ago, House Republicans were talking down the CBO, saying their estimates are always wrong and they don't agree with them. Whatever the case is, this is the number that is public. This is the number from the official nonpartisan budget keeper, scorekeeper of Capitol Hill, of Congress. Now, later today, most likely, and maybe not later today, but at some point in the future, we will see numbers on the number of people that will go uninsured in this package. There are cuts to Medicaid, there are cuts to all sorts of health care elements in the federal government. So that's going to be another bad number for House Republicans. But listen, there is, I keep thinking back to this, there's a fog of war element to this, to how Republicans feel right now. They are trying to get this bill into law. They are trying to ignore all of the outside noise, good, bad, indifferent, and just trying to charge toward that July 4th deadline to get this across the finish line. Now, we all know that the ultimate judgment will be in November of next year when Republicans are up for re-election, when everyone's up for re-election. The House is in play once again. But this is the kind of stuff they'll have to contend with. Really bad numbers from the CBO, and them trying to say the CBO is just nonsense.
So, Christine, you'll recall there was all of this back and forth up to the last minute before the House voted on this, which is why we're getting an updated CBO report, because after they made additional changes, they went back, the CBO, and looked at what these changes were and the ultimate impact. So the top line here is that the budget bill, the CBO says, would add $2.4 trillion to the national debt. That's a little bit less than what the previous estimate was, which was $3.8 trillion, but still $2.4 trillion. That's a lot.
It is a lot. And, you know, there's a rule of thumb in budgets and in economies and in government spending is that when the economy is good, that's when you fix your finances. When the economy is bad, that's when you add to deficits because you're trying to help survive a pandemic or a financial crash or something like that. And so this is an economy that is still stable, right, where you're adding all of these debts and deficits. You know, I think of the Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, who always says, you know, you fix the ceiling when the sun is shining. The sun is shining, and we're not fixing the ceiling or fixing the roof. You know, so this is just adding all of this debt at this time is not something that fiscal conservatives usually like, which is what is resonating, I think, with so many of these Republicans. And I would just use this contrast too. If you had DOGE had $160 billion in spending cuts, and you look at this is a magnitude of 10 in extra spending. So what was all of that drama over DOGE if Congress is just going to go ahead and just like flood the zone with more debt anyway?
Well, I'm glad you bring up DOGE because Elon Musk is having a big meltdown over this spending bill. As soon as he left the White House, Jake, he is now on the attack, blasting this bill, calling it outrageous, pork-filled, a disgusting abomination. He says this will burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. How much power do those words hold? Did Musk actually shake things up on the Hill with these comments?
He probably got some people who were on the fence to be on the other side of the fence, meaning those who were wobbly about supporting it, especially in the House, where we've seen in the last couple of days people suggest that they might have taken the wrong vote or that they raised the alarm bell. The House Freedom Caucus, the ultra-conservative members of the House of Representatives, Republicans, said that they tried to sound the alarm. They really didn't. They voted for the bill. They complained, but they eventually voted for the bill. A few things to keep in mind here. Number one, this is incredibly embarrassing for Donald Trump, who gave Elon Musk effectively carte blanche over the government, really, over the last couple months. Number two, this is a guy who spent hundreds of millions of dollars electing Donald Trump. If he spends a fraction of that, $1 million, even less than $1 million in a House primary against a Republican, that could have a massive impact. If he backs a candidate against a sitting House Republican because they voted for this bill, that will have a massive impact. On top of that, we have to remember, this bill will hurt or has the potential to hurt some of Elon Musk's companies. The EV tax credit clean energy tax credits are all being phased out or canceled in this piece of legislation. Tesla, as a company, has been vocal about that. They've sent a bunch of marketing emails. They've tweeted about that. So Musk has financial interest in this bill going down or at least getting changed. So a lot of dynamics to consider. I don't think that this appreciably shakes up the dynamics in getting this bill through. It's still a huge hill to climb for House and Senate Republicans, but I don't think this kills the bill by any means.
Congressman Curbelo, this bill barely passed the House. Here's what Speaker Johnson is saying now about Musk's social media tirade. Listen.
It's very disappointing, okay? I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. But with all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. We had a long conversation yesterday, he and I. Spoke for, I think, more than 20 minutes on the telephone, but for him to come out and hand the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday.
Now we also expect him to speak and give his sort of weekly media briefing this hour. We'll see if he has more to say on this. But Congressman, what do you think is going through the Speaker's mind right now, given this bill will likely come back to the House?
Well, Anna, the Speaker's going through what a lot of Republican speakers before him have gone through, trying to manage all of these different factions inside the House Republican Conference. And it's interesting because what has come to the surface here is this division between Tea Party Republicans, the Republicans that were born out of the beginning of the Obama presidency, where fiscal discipline is a major issue, government reform, cutting programs, and this new MAGA movement. President Trump really does not prioritize fiscal discipline. He, as Democrats have said for a long time, believes that there should be no cuts or reforms to entitlement programs. So that's the tension that you're seeing here. Elon Musk is really much more of a Tea Party type Republican, whereas the MAGA movement really doesn't share a whole lot of DNA with Tea Party Republicans when it comes to fiscal discipline. Certainly they have a lot in common cultural issues, but this is something the Speaker dealt with in trying to clear that first hurdle, which he did by one vote, and he's going to have to deal with it again when this bill comes back from the Senate.
We have some new reporting on how the Trump-Musk relationship got complicated, if you will. A source familiar with the relationship tells NBC News that four main factors likely are behind Musk's frustration with this bill, and they boil down to both policy and personnel issues. On policy, no electric vehicle credits in this bill, which Jake mentioned. Musk had wanted the FAA to use his Starlink internet service, so he's upset about that. On personnel, Musk had wanted a friend of his, Jared Isaacman, to serve as the NASA administrator. The White House just pulled his nomination. Plus, we're learning Musk had hoped to stay on with the White House as a special government employee beyond 130 days, but apparently the White House didn't accommodate that. Jim, what do you make of all this big rift?
Well, it's a real problem for Republicans next year, because I want to agree with something Jake said earlier. The CBO score of $2.4 trillion is going to be in every campaign ad in America next year. It doesn't matter what the Republicans say. That's the official number, and that's the number that the House voted for, and that's the number they're going to get tarred with. And then Elon Musk, his approval rating on it is in the 80s with Republicans. And they really need their base to turn out in midterm elections. Part of why they lost the midterm elections last time Trump was president was his base didn't turn out the way they did for him. And having Elon Musk out there saying a bunch of these members voted for a bill that adds $2.4 trillion, you're going to see all those Musk tweets next year in campaign ads. If I was Speaker Johnson right now, I'd be sitting in my office very angry and drinking a very big glass of bourbon.